Welcome back to Rides and Roars. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Today I'll be counting down my top 10 favorite roller coasters at Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. This has been a destination park for me to visit over the past 10 years, and I finally got the chance to go from July 27th to July 31st, 2020. It has a unique setting on a peninsula that juts out into Lake Erie and the best coaster lineup of any park in the US. With that being said, let's get into my top 10. At number 10, I put Blue Streak. Blue Streak is a PTC Woody that the park built in 1964, but it has held up really well. The park must be doing a great job maintaining it because I was very surprised with how smooth it was. Visiting a park like Cedar Point, Blue Streak wasn't a roller coaster I had high expectations for, but its out and back layout features plenty of sustained airtime and it's a smooth and enjoyable ride. That's all you can ask for in a quality coaster to support a spectacular lineup. At number 9, I decided to go with Wicked Twister. Back in 2012, when I first got interested in visiting Cedar Point, this intimate impulse coaster amazed me because of how different it looked than any other coaster I'd seen before. I was also mesmerized by its Q soundtrack and was thoroughly pleased to find out that they still play it. These days, the impulse coaster isn't as novel of a concept after riding V2 at Six Flags Great America, which differs only in having one spike that doesn't twist. However, the initial launch is still great and front row rides are the best because you see the end of the track coming up on one end and stare straight back at the ground on the other end. It's a unique ride and you can't go wrong with a launched coaster. Coming in at number 8, we have Valravn. This coaster is Cedar Point's way to boast about having the tallest, fastest, and longest dive coaster in the world. Having also been on SheiKra and Griffon at the Busch Gardens parks, this dive coaster does feel bigger, but maybe that isn't necessarily for the best. I was obsessed with SheiKra the first time I rode it almost 10 years ago, but dive coasters have kind of lost that fad. Valravn is just massive with very slow maneuvers. It's supposed to provide some adrenaline by holding you over the first 90-degree drop, and the rest of the ride is over in the blink of an eye. Now to number 7. In this spot, I put Gatekeeper, a B&M wing coaster. This was another record breaker for Cedar Point in terms of the stats sheet, and luckily, I can compare it to 2 other wing coasters that I've been on, X-Flight at Six Flags Great America, and Wild Eagle at Dollywood. X-Flight was my first, and I still favor it slightly, but most likely just because it was my first. Gatekeeper is an amazing coaster to look at, with its near-miss keyholes over the entrance to the park. I really enjoy the wing overdrop at the beginning and those near misses, but just like Valravn, its maneuvers are just so slow and drawn out because of its coaster type. At number 6, I decided to go with Magnum XL 200. Magnum was the first coaster to exceed 200 feet in height when it opened in 1989 and was built by the now defunct Aerodynamics. I didn't know what to expect getting onto this coaster because many enthusiasts seem to love it, and I just saw it as a massive, janky aero mine train. It was spectacular how much airtime it provided without having smooth, parabolic crests and valleys, but I was painfully thrown into my lap bar on multiple occasions and left with a headache my last time riding. I know that most people suggest to ride the third row, which I didn't get to ride in, so I just strongly recommend not sitting anywhere near the back. Its scenery is strange, going out over the water park and towards the hotels, but features some cool tunnels with lights on the way back. Now at number 5, I put Raptor, the park's B&M invert. I've ridden a good number of B&M inverts, and am always pleasantly surprised with any of them that feature an original layout. Raptor caught my attention off the bat with an amazing first drop. It really whips you off the pre-drop and seems to have a very steep angle of descent. It's got good inversions, it's fast, and it's got a nice mix of positive and negative Gs. I also enjoy how it crosses back and forth over the walkway below. Coming in at number 4, I have Millennium Force. This was the first coaster to exceed 300 feet tall when it opened in 2000. Growing up, this was another coaster that astonished me to look at. The station flyby was iconic, and its years of holding the Golden Ticket Award for #1 steel coaster made this a must-ride. However, I was slightly disappointed. It does reach a top speed of 93 miles per hour, but the first drop isn't very steep, and and what kind of ride throws you into a bank turn for the first element. I'm not a big fan of positive Gs, and the negative Gs didn't seem very well sustained. It's a decent ride if you like going fast for an extended period of time, but the layout wasn't all that intriguing. At number 3, it pains me to say it, but I'm gonna have to put Top Thrill Dragster. After riding Kingda Ka at Six Flags Great Adventure for years and loving it, I expected Dragster to easily be my favorite at Cedar Point. These days, it's difficult to get my heart racing and adrenaline pumping on a roller coaster, but Dragster does just that. I love the anticipation building up with Ready to Go playing in the station, and the lights signaling your launch on the launch track. Front row is clearly the best, being able to feel the wind push your face back and throwing your hands up as soon as the operator can't push the arms down button anymore. It's spectacular being thrown 420 feet into the air and provides a thrill from start to finish. Of course, the only downside to it is that it's just over too fast. Maybe coming as a surprise, I'm putting Steel Vengeance at number 2. Steel Vengeance was the first ever hyper hybrid built by renowned manufacturer Rocky Mountain Construction. It broke numerous records upon its completion, including one for the most airtime. It's tall, it's fast, and it's a very long ride. I'd say that its ride duration is the best aspect of Steel Vengeance, and it never lets up throughout. I just had extremely high expectations for this coaster, and it was very surreal riding it for the first time, but there's some aspects of the ride that just don't blow me away. First drop is 90 degrees, but I actually prefer the first drops that pull to the left, like Iron Rattler and Twisted Cyclone. I'm not super impressed with all the outer banked hills at the beginning, and I think the inversions are just average for an RMC. It's also almost too long of a ride, and the lap bar starts to hurt your thighs towards the end from all the ejector airtime. So that means that I'm going with Maverick at my number 1 spot. For me, expectations have a lot to do with how I perceive a ride, and Maverick went above and beyond my expectations. This is an Intamin Blitz coaster that features airtime, inversions, and a launch. You're pulled over the first drop at a beyond vertical angle, which gives major ejector airtime in the back row. The pacing is great throughout, and there's a great variety of inversions mixed with strong ejector hills. And that isn't even the best part about this coaster. Halfway through the ride, you come to a stop in a tunnel, and then get launched to 70 miles per hour and bank left, up, and out of the tunnel. I'd say this launch caught me more by surprise than Dragster's launch, and it just got better each time I rode it. Banking left out of the tunnel then up and over the pond is such a great feeling. Maverick is such a quality coaster and definitely the biggest surprise of my trip to Cedar Point, so I'm giving it my top spot for best roller coaster at the park. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think of my list in the comments below, and check us out on Instagram at rides_n_roars.